What's up, Active Lifers? Welcome back to the Active Life Podcast. I'm Dr. Sean Pestuch. I'm your host. Today's guest is Anthony Vennare. He and his brother Joe founded Fitt Insider, with many other things that Anthony has founded. The guy's 32 years old and he's lived the life of a 50-year-old already. Very, very, very impressive. We talk about what needs to happen for the fitness industry to become valuable again. What needs to happen for the fitness industry to become valuable again? Not only for the person who is using it, but for the person who is working in it, for the people who own the businesses in it. How do we get tech closer to the trainer? How does the trainer take advantage of tech? And maybe most importantly, Anthony talked about what he would do if he was starting over right now as a personal trainer who wanted to build a business for himself. You're not going to want to miss this one. Let's get you right to it. Anthony Vennare, welcome to the Active Life Podcast. Thanks for coming, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Excited to chat.
It's my pleasure. I've been reading Fitt Insider for a while, right? I've enjoyed the newsletter, as we were talking about before the show, ever since the one came out where you talked about certifications and how there's this major lapse in quality, effectively, if you will, from what happens from the certification market. And I've found you and your brother, what you're writing about, what I hear your brother, is he your brother, by the way? Brother, yes, yeah. Not cousin. Okay. What I hear him speaking about on the podcast, I just find it to be so resonant. It's like someone took the words out of my mouth and put them onto a megaphone. And I love hearing my opinion come out of somebody else's mouth. I think we all do. But I would love to hear from you. You're a really accomplished guy. We'll get into that in a little bit. But why a newsletter? It's not like the world got to this place where you needed to scrap together 2 pennies and you're like, I know how to do that. A newsletter is going to do that. That's not what happened. Mm-hmm. So why a newsletter?
Yeah, it really happened by accident. So we're based in Pittsburgh, which is not the epicenter of anything health and wellness related. And we were running our last company here, and we were like, okay, I think our background was super unique in that gym owners, strength coach, work all the way up to that point, but then move into the startup world where a lot of the people that were founding these fitness tech companies and these health and wellness tech companies, they didn't have any background in it. They did it because they liked it and they worked at Google or somebody else. And our thing was, how do we build a connection to this crowd, not meeting them in person because we're based in Pittsburgh. So it was, we have an opinion on the space, and this was in 2019. We have an opinion on the space. We think it's great. Let's talk a little bit about it. And it was really just, a few thoughts to 5 friends. And then it just kind of snowballed. The only thing we really did was consistently put it out there, and it's changed a few times, but it was never like a news roundup, like, oh, here's what's happening. It was, here is our take on a certain sector of the industry, this broad health, wellness, and fitness industry. Here's our take on it. And it was never meant to be a business or a thing at all. It was just like, got to start somewhere in terms of this crowd. And I knew from seeing Morning Brew and other places like that you should be talking to these people. And we're like, okay, let's do it and just try to build a brand around it and have some fun, my brother and I. And that's where the newsletter came, and then the podcast came quick after. And before you know it, he's interviewing all these crazy people, and we have our investment fund. So it really happened out of nowhere. And COVID was a big accelerator of that because the attention that came to the fitness industry.
Mm-hmm. Well, you guys kill it. You really do. I mean, you're one of the few podcasts in the fitness business space that I can honestly say I listen to and I learn from and I enjoy, because it always feels like you guys are chasing substance. It's never the flashy, what's the marketing tactic to get the next 20 members into the gym? It's never that. And I appreciate that so much, because I feel as though we've become an industry, fitness as an industry, where the primary KPI is how many heads can you get through the door, instead of what kind of change can you make for those heads when they're there, and who should be able to influence those people when they show up. The barrier to entry to the industry is so low. So I would love to pivot to that a little bit, because you talked about, we talked about the certification newsletter, which is the one that caught my attention, which is one of your best performing. Chicken or egg, Anthony? does the fitness industry struggle to deliver value because the barrier to entry is so low? Or is the barrier to entry so low because the market knows it's going to struggle to deliver value? So how hard can we ask someone to work to get into it?
Neither.
Ooh.
I think that, and this was kind of what we talked about before we jumped on the recording, a big portion of the industry has two areas in my mind. It's the side that it's a passion, it's people want to do, but they don't treat it like a business and they don't understand and learn the business. And then the other hard part of that is when they do go to learn, it's just scam and nonsense. It's, whether they've made money or not, those leaders in this space that are buy my course, buy my program, buy my mastermind, buy my business consulting, that is all the industry is. I get an ad every day from some high-level coaching expert academy person or this or that, or like you see, what's his name, Alex Ramosi on all the different things. Whether he made money or not can be discussed, but that's not what the business should be. That's not the industry. That's just nonsense. And then that goes all the way down to the certifications most of the time. It's people, and then we wrote a deep dive right when COVID hit. It was called The Future Personal Training. I mean, it was one of our longest pieces ever. It wasn't in the newsletter. It was something separate. And it was like, there's 400,000 trainers and coaches in the United States as of the Bureau of Labor Statistics in 2018. And the average trainer makes less than $40,000 a year. And it's not because they aren't good at what they do and they're not trying. They're spending money on certifications. They're trying to learn. They're reading books. The source that you go to top down is just wrong. And that's what our entire career has been driving towards, this point of like, we love fitness and wellness. It's all we know. We want to help people. And we've always gone through this level of process of, I would look at, I'm running gyms in Pittsburgh and a bunch in our area. And then I read Gary Vee's book, and it's like, not that he's, the guy to go to for certain things, fitness, but reading his book around marketing, I'm like, oh, I can market my gym better. I can have more members. And then the next thing is like, oh, you can, launch online and sell things online early 2014 when it was hard to do so. So like, that's always been our thing. And I think the problem with the industry is it's not built to support these trainers and coaches and make their businesses better. It's built to extract from them and sell them some, like we always talk about as trainers, there's no magic pill. All of these guys are selling a magic pill for your business and it's trash. Mm-hmm. And I just hate it. And that's why we don't really talk to the coaches and trainers, because to fight through the noise, and they believe these guys. And we're like, this doesn't make any sense.
I made a post yesterday on TikTok, Anthony, that was meant to speak to that, because the education that people go through when they work with us, if you're a coach, it's 13 months long. There's 3 hours of education every single week. You're working with doctors on our staff and coaches on our staff who are mentoring you one-on-one, right? Like, it's the last course in our education for a coach is called Navigating Healthcare. And in that course, they're getting to meet doctors from the industry who are going to teach them and have conversations with them around how do you garner referrals from doctors' offices, and how do you let the doctor know what happened for the patient so that this relationship is symbiotic for all three of you. And people ask us all the time, like, well, what's the marketing strategy? I'm like, you don't want to market yourself right now. You're not doing something valuable enough to market yourself sustainably for a long term that you're going to have a career. And so I made a post yesterday that was basically, this is a picture of the foundation of One World Trade in Manhattan. It took them 2 years just to build the foundation, but nobody took their family to take pictures at the foundation. 5 years later, the observation deck was done. Everybody takes pictures at the top of the observation deck as if like, that's it. Let's just take pictures at the observation deck. It was easy to get here. And I think you're nailing it when you say there is no easy pill for the client. Every trainer will tell you there is no easy path for the client, but then they want the easy path for themselves. So it comes back to my question to you around why are trainers, coaches, whatever you want to call them, they have brains, they have conscience, they're intelligent people. How do they keep on getting bamboozled into buying things that don't get them results?
Yeah, I don't know, honestly. I don't really understand how they buy into these people, because you see one, what is it called? ClickFunnels page. It's just a long scroll with a bunch of things on it. I'm like, I'm out of here. Mm-hmm. And I think the average consumer is, but our industry is just fueled by those people. And I think also it's a problem because they all sell success and money, and they've made it and they've done it. And then it happens in all industries. Honestly, it happens in all industries. Fitness is just the one we know, but I see it everywhere. Startups. How many terrible advisors or investors or people that have syndicates or do this that say they can, deliver these investors or these things, but they never do, or whatever. It happens everywhere, but it's very prevalent to us. And I think fitness has been also worse than some, because you can have your shirt off, you're in shape, and you can sell that picture, and that can be enough to get you both clients and people to follow you to say, hey, you did it, I want to do it too. So it's like this mix of consumer, influencer, like the attention that goes to fitness, especially since COVID, and the business behind it, and how like you see these people supposedly making a lot of money, and it's like, oh, I want to be that guy, or that girl. So yeah, it's a problem. And I think for us, at least, what we're looking at is how do you take all of the money that's poured into the fitness and wellness and health industry from the tech side or the startup side or whatever else, and how does that make its way to trainers and coaches? And it really hasn't yet. And that's what we want to see.
What do you mean by that? The fitness and tech side, getting that money into coaches? I don't follow you there.
So think about Peloton.
Okay.
Think about Tonal. Tonal's valued at $1 billion. They've raised hundreds of millions of dollars.
Without
Peloton
selling very many, by the way, which is wildly confusing to me as someone on the street.
And it's the potential of the business, where they're going, but they're not started by trainers and coaches. They're started by people that just think the space is cool and there's a way to make money in it, or they're passionate about it. And the fact that it wasn't started now, as they've built, like they have a strength academy and they have like research and they hire trainers and coaches, and the trainers and coaches on Peloton are great, but like they should be leading the charge for the next thing and building the business at scale and raising venture money for it, or scaling up and building a business, treating it like a business. But they're not. They're trying to sell online courses, and they're selling, it's just a lot of stuff that doesn't translate for how big the opportunity is in the space. And that's what I mean by like the venture. I have the chart somewhere, but it's, digital health and fitness. Let me see here. I have it right here. Digital health and fitness in the, I think it was here we go. In Q1 2021, $14.7 billion in funding.
That's a lot
so
of
like
money.
It's insane. It's an insane number. I think that's right. Don't quote me on that. I'm looking at a chart maybe. But like all of 2018, $8 billion. All of 2020, $14 billion. Just the beginning, the first half of 2021 was $14 billion. That's so much money. But the trainers and the coaches are still making $40,000 or less now, because it's harder at you.
Well,
where's this disconnect?
So I think the disconnect there, I can speak to that. I would love your thoughts on this. I think the disconnect there is that the marketplace has said, we don't think the fitness professional can provide me very much value. And so I don't want to spend money there. But the technology of fitness is yet to be proven. And I'll give them a shot first. So my wife has a Peloton at home. She has the app or whatever. They do a great job. Like, it is a great experience. I have no complaints about that experience. They crush it.
Yeah.
I'm not a financial guy, so what their valuations are and all that kind of stuff. I saw an article like a year and a half ago that said Peloton should be $18. And now I think it is $18, which is wild because it was soaring at the time. But that's not my area of expertise. What I think is happening is people are saying, I don't want to spend my money in the fitness industry, but buying a Tonal, buying a mirror, buying a Peloton, I don't see that as the fitness industry. I see that as a technology industry that's offering me fitness. I think that's what's actually happening. And so I think frankly, it's going to continue going up. These billions are going to be raised. And I think that comes tumbling down too, because it's all built on quicksand as its bedrock.
Yeah, but there are two parts to that. One, Peloton's a phenomenal business. Stock price or not, has millions and millions of members, and their retention is amazing and their churn is low. It's great. Tonal, for what it is, has some great things going to it. There's a lot of products out there that are great, and they're all scaling up to this kind of bigger goal of, if you look at the numbers, how much iFit sells and how many pieces of equipment are sold and how many things are sold at Rogue, like it's a massive business. So I think that's a little separate. And then the content side obviously is different as well. But in reality, I think the number was from 2019, but personal training is a $10 billion a year industry. It's there. People are spending money on it. It's just a matter of.
Yeah, but what's the volume? Like, so I hear you that they're spending the money on it. $10 billion sounds like a lot of money, and it is a lot of money. But what's the average price of a personal training session being sold? What's the average income of the personal trainer that's making
$40,000 a year? That's what it is. But if you look at that, though, that's just like every industry. The average person doing this makes the average salary, but there's top earners. And the thing that's happened is the top earners are really good at business, and they build these enterprises like Exponential Fitness, for example. How many locations, what they've done. How many trainers and coaches that are really good at their craft, that are the best coaches, the best trainers they've studied, they don't treat the business side like they should, and they don't expand and say, what's going on outside of the fitness industry, and how does those learnings come into our space and make us better marketers, better scalers, better operators, better real estate, whatever it may be that they need to learn. That's the piece that has always been missing. It's really what's driven our career. It's like, it's different. And if they can do it here, it translates to us. If they're learning this thing or doing it, it has to translate to our space, because ours, like I said before we started recording, health, wellness, and fitness is, in my opinion, the most important thing, because, and this is coming from someone who was sick for a while. If you're sick, nothing else matters. If your health isn't there, nothing else really can matter, because you will die, or you won't be around, or you can't enjoy things. And it's such an important factor. And there's so much money being spent on it from the consumer, and they are buying things and they are getting tricked. And I roll supplements into that as well, from like, they're spending money on this and that when they should be spending it on other things, or eating healthy. And I look at, nutritionists and nutrition coaches the same as I do health coaches and fitness coaches. They all need to be doing a better job of building out their business. Cause like Future is a great example. People pay $150 a month to interact with a coach. Yeah, that's not that much money. But I know friends that are coaches that remote coach, charge $150, $250 a month. But they have 20 clients and they don't market it, and they don't know scaling it. And Future figured that part out, and they do it well. And now with like the fitness creator one we just wrote a couple of weeks ago, like how many platforms are trying to make it easier? How many places are trying to help you? And like, they have these actual technology products. You should be able to have 150 clients paying you $150 a month as a remote coach. And it starts to become a pretty good business as you scale it up, especially online, and then training in person and all that stuff. So yeah, I think it goes down to treating this like a business and spending the time to learn outside of the space. And that's why the core base of everything we've done with Fitt Insider has been, how do we take what's going on in the broader landscape and distill it down to what it means, how you can act on it, and what the opportunities are in the space. And there's thousands of them.
How much of the treating it like a business do you believe is, let's just say we're doing percentages, and we're looking at two different sides here. There's the treating it like a business from knowing how many leads you're chasing down, knowing what your, financial KPIs are, what your profitability per product is, and things like that, as compared to, are you delivering on the promise that you made when the person came in the door? Because great businesses, the ones that make the most money, they do deliver on a promise, or they fade out over time. Where do you think the fitness industry needs to focus more of their attention?
I think it needs to be obviously focused on the end health outcome. That's the biggest thing. And that's, like you said, Peloton, for example, and your wife. It's a quality product, whether people talk shit on it or say it's not great. It's phenomenal. I'm not a cardio spin guy. I like kettlebells and stuff, but everyone that I know uses it is a power user, and has gotten millions of people to move that probably weren't moving before and doing it well, and it's delivered. And that's the basis of it. Small improvements over time and building it up. And I think that needs to be the basis of all products and systems and gyms and coaches. But then on top of that, I think it's less about this click funnel, head count, churn thing. And it's more about I am building a business that has a unique offering that is quality. If you think about Peloton, like we talked, my brother and I kind of did a fun show kind of riffing on what we think Peloton should do to raise their stock price. And it's like, even Peloton, they need to have their low tier enter product that is like their top of funnel that is $5, $10, $15 a month that lets people come in and use their product. They have their mid tier, $50 to $75 a month hardware products that they buy that keep people, they're a little bit higher price, but have really quality product in there, and you buy the bike and you buy the row or whatever else. And then I think they should acquire Future or be involved in a business like that, where they have this higher priced, more customized programming, because people can age up into their fitness program, because a lot of times people kind of age out of programs where like, I'm hitting a plateau, I'm trying to do something else. It's not what I want. Even though it's working, it's just can only go so far. Are gym owners thinking like that? When we were operating our gyms, it was, we're doing free workouts in the park every week in the city of Pittsburgh, having hundreds of people turn up to do yoga. And we weren't even a yoga place.
I was gonna say, you don't strike me as a yogi.
No, it was how do we get the mass amount of people around? And how do we build this up and get this kind of funnel going? And not from a head count, but like, we're building a brand, we're giving a free service, we're providing value. How do we, do corporate wellness as a loss lead to get into these places and get clients coming to our gym? How do we go and talk to, FedEx, who was up the street from our first gym? How do we go and negotiate with them and say, if you pay half of the membership for all of these places, we can get X amount of people doing this more? And just really spreading your channel, and not just open a gym and try to run ClickFunnels and Facebook ads and say how many people are coming through the door. Mm-hmm. It's that value proposition, and then start to continue to build from there. And, youth athletes, how can we train in that way? Like all of the stuff that we did, we had different revenue streams. We had different products. We had different offerings and marketing tools. We had different approaches. We had a marketing budget and spend. We had an actual line item of like what our cost in and out is. It's kind of like watching, like, what is it? A bar rescue, or all of those other places, or like Gordon Ramsay going in. He's like, what does this cost? And they're like, I don't know. Right. He's like, what the hell are you doing? This, like, you're not making any money. What are you doing? So I think it's that level of like, build the business.
Yeah. So I'd like to share with you how, like, a really simple framework for how I think gyms need to be thinking about that. And then I want to ask you a question about an ice cream analogy that I made, and I'm curious your thoughts on it. I was talking to a guy recently who was considering becoming a client of Active Life, and he was telling me, smart guy, by the way, well-educated, gym owner, been in the industry for 15 years. He's got this product where a member comes in and it's $400 a month, and they get a personal train, like they get personal training sessions and all of this. And I said, what's your profitability on that? And he said, what do you mean? I said, well, you're charging $400, but what are you making at the end of the month on it? And he's like, well, I don't know. And when I did the math with him, it was like negative $60. And, yeah. and the way I think that gym owners, especially, and trainers, especially, the way to think about business is, what is the outcome I want to deliver? What needs to be included in the service in order for me to ensure that I can deliver that outcome? What do I need to be paid and pay somebody? And what are my other expenses that go into being able to offer that? Okay, now what do I need to charge? Not what would somebody be willing to pay? All right, what can we fit into that? That's the backwards way to do it. And I see so many in the industry do it like that. Like, I don't know, we can probably charge around $200 a month because that's what everyone around us is charging. Well,
and it goes back to, sorry to cut you off, but no, that goes back to like you saying that trainers and coaches are undervalued. It's them undervaluing themselves. It's like, what can we get away with? What can we charge? What can we sneak in here as a price? It's like, you're providing a massive service and you're doing something. Charge the price that it is. And, are you a Honda Accord? Are you a Mercedes? Or where is your services at? Where is your training at? Where is your value at? But be out there and offer those things if you want to offer more. And because like a big portion of our training at one of our gyms was, group classes, group kind of kettlebell programs that we had. And it was great. And it was, for what it was awesome. It was a mix of like, took the model of CrossFit and built it into just a kettlebell and had an on-ramp. And it was a really good way to get lots of people moving in a way that they never had before at the time. And it was much different than going to the CrossFit gym down the road that was trying to train you for the games. And it was much different than what was going on with the YMCA up the street. And when we had hundreds of members, it was because we focused on that one product that worked and we did it in our way. And the price point mixed with the setup and what you got, like it all made sense. And again, it's just one of 50 different volumes of what you can do. Or like a friend of mine, his name's Casey Williams. He's a like world record holding like strength athlete, him remote coaching people on his very niche and specific bench program and like training program for strength training and like actual powerlifting. He can charge and do what he wants because it works and he's trained and learned. So it's just a crazy thing to think about when it's not too complicated.
Well, there's a lot of interesting stuff at play. And I think that one of them for that, like for the business part of things, is you mentioned you're delivering an extremely valuable service. I don't know that that's always true. And I think that trainers, because of, in large part, I think because of the way that the industry is set up and the way that the marketing of the industry happens, there's a lot of imposter syndrome for trainers out there who are delivering great stuff. And they look into the world and they're like, if I put this on social media, someone with more credentials than me is going to tell me that I'm stupid and I shouldn't do it. And that's their own issue, right? Because you got to put that into the world and deal with no one ever punches down. Remember that. Well, not no one, but most people won't punch down.
Yeah.
But so there's some of that. And I think that when you get into helping people, you want to avoid making people feel bad. That's what you're here to help them for. And so now there's this thing where I don't want to charge someone a lot of money if they can't afford it. I really want to give them this thing. And so now they have that spiral. And this all gets accelerated by what I see as some martyrdom in the fitness space, which is I'm not making money. They're not making money. My friend over here isn't making money. If you're making money, you're doing it in a sleazy way. It's the only way you can possibly make money. And now the cool kids club in fitness is broke.
Yeah. Or it's like, I'm a better coach than you. I have more training than you, all that stuff, which is great. And there are a lot of people that I barely know anything compared to most people, honestly. And that's, it's a weird thing to think about if they looked at that and they said, yes, I have this advanced training. I need to market that better. And I'm really good at what I do, but I also want to make money. Maybe I can change my product a little bit and have a lower cost thing that doesn't take my time one for one. So I am not making $30 an hour. It's this whole other scale of it all but it happens in every industry. If you look at how many startups are in the news that are, Bolt and Fast, they're two fintech startups that raised hundreds of millions of dollars and they were bullshit. And investors got duped, and people got duped, and they were the two worst founders in terms of like, oh, we're so successful, always on Twitter, always saying stuff, just being those guys. And then it was all a lie.
Crypto.com too, right? Crypto.com.
It happens everywhere. Yeah. Like it's so big and it happens everywhere. It's just for us, we're just so close to it. And we act like, why doesn't it happen to us? It's everywhere. And in reality, it's just, I think it goes back to the coaches, ones that, yeah.
You mentioned something earlier though, that I think it goes back to even harder. And that is that, in all of those other industries, right? Like if you were to start working at a bank, not like a Chase in your town, I'm talking like an investment bank. You can start off at an entry-level job that gets paid significantly less than people who are more senior than you. And there's a path to you advancing in your career and making more senior income. Where in the fitness industry today, it's you own the place or you work in the place. And if you mostly, right? There's commercial gyms and you can move into their corporate offices, but you want to be in fitness. You don't want to be in corporate offices. So that doesn't make sense as a path for you. But the other space is like, well, I own a gym and you can train in my gym. And most of the people who train in those gyms leave because they don't like the way that they were treated. Right. And so now the last thing that they want to do is go be the business owner who opens the gym and then has to treat somebody else the way that they were treated in order to make money. It's this vicious cycle that really, I think, goes away when the industry starts to demand better results, better outcomes, higher prices, and better pay for the staff. I think when that happens, it solves itself. But I want to move, unless you have something to say to that.
No.
I made an analogy recently that I got both love and hate for, and I'm curious your take on it. One of the things I think the fitness industry faces as a problem is it's kind of like an ice cream parlor where everybody in it is making very similar, if not the same, promises to people. We can help you lose weight, get the body that you want, gain confidence, look good in your clothes, live longer. All of those are the the promises that the fitness industry makes. And now it's, what flavor do you want it in? Do you want it in flavor spin? That's vanilla. Do you want it in flavor hit studio? That's chocolate chip. Like, all these things are different flavors. And people are basically saying, why would I spend more money for cookie dough than I would for a banana? It doesn't make sense unless I'm like only a cookie dough eater. That's the only flavor I will eat. Then find me the best damn cookie dough and I'll spend more money for it. Give me the toppings. I'll spend more money for those. But I think that the biggest issue that we face is that the industry is failing to recognize the evolution of the person who patronizes it. Right? Like, we had 30 million people in the fitness industry in 2000. There are 65 million people now. They're older. They might have come in as a 25-year-old chasing abs, ass, and ego, but now they're 45, 50, and they want to live to see their grandkids. They want to dance at their grandkids' wedding. They're not chasing the abs anymore. I'm curious your thoughts on that.
Yeah, so we look at it as what we call the hub and spoke model. And I can send over a graphic that you can share, but previously the fitness hub was the gym. If you think back to when we were running gyms, or even, early 2018, 2019, it was always, I go to the gym and I work out at the gym. And I train at a Y, I go to fitness classes, I use the equipment, I maybe go to a personal trainer. That's where my community is. That's where it all is. It quickly transitioned to the individual is the center of the fitness hub, and around them is not fitness. It's not about vanilla and chocolate and spin or whatever else. It's, I'm spending money on nutrition. I buy and ate sleep. I'm focused on wearables and running. I'm using this one specific app. I want to work on mindfulness. I want to have a connected device at home so I can do this. It's the entire industry that everyone's competing against. And that's when I say, like, the money making its way to trainers. No longer is it I open a gym up the street and I compete against the 5 gyms in my zip code. As I open a gym up the street and the consumer is spending money on all trails and they're hiking, they're playing pickup basketball and pickleball instead of going to the gym. They'll come to the gym 30% less because they're doing other stuff that have nothing to do with the gym or fitness in general. It's activity, active lifestyle, mindfulness, nutrition, whatever else. How do you offer those things? How do you provide those services? How do you build a better package? Or how do you build a gym with less overhead and less cost so that even if you do have less members, you have a better model and you do make money, and you think about it from that perspective. So I don't think I get what you're saying, but I think it's less about fitness competition because, for example, I won't take a spin class, but I will pay a nutritionist thousands of dollars to break down my blood panels and pay a coach, easily use Future or another high-end coach and have them build me a custom program to get, to do certain things. And there's a lot of people that will, or the same people that are spending thousands of dollars on Rogues equipment and outfitting their gym. They want remote coaching. They're using street parking, who is murdering it. Mm-hmm. Stuff like that. Again, it's just about approaching it the right way. It has nothing to do. I think everybody in the space is so close to it that they are saying it's, when back in my day, this and this is how the person was, and this is the gym. But in reality, yes, the consumer has changed, but it's not spinning versus personal training versus high-end coaching or anything else. It's like the entire wellness ecosystem and fitness ecosystem versus that trainer, and they need to adapt.
How do they adapt? Because I hear you, and I happen to agree with you. And, well, I agree with much of what you said. What I agree with that I want to speak to is they need to adapt. The spoke in the middle, or the what'd you call it, hub and spoke? Uh-huh. You're right. It's no longer, okay, the gym is the place where everything happens. It's now I'm the individual. Everything happens for me. I'm going to decide which way I want to go and get that thing. How do they adapt? I have my opinion on how they adapt. The trainer, that is, the coach in the industry. I'm curious where you think the adaptation is.
Yeah, if we take it from the journey, like you were saying, it's how I got started. You go and you train at YMCA. you get your ACE, you train at YMCA, you get some experience, you teach some classes, you go get certified in this, then you start to go down this path and learn. I'm going to go and read every book Kelly Starrett put out because he's the man. I'm going to listen to Shane Farmer's rowing course and learn from Dark Horse Run, whatever it may be. Now I think it's each and every trainer and coach needs to look at themselves individually as a business, because usually they're 1099s anyway. So they are a business, they're a freelancer. And if you compare it to like freelance writing or freelance graphic design or everything else, freelance anything nowadays, I am my own business. I can provide my services to gyms if I want to. If I don't want to own my own gym, I can rent out silo fits and these micro gyms to train people if I want space. I can, train in parks. I can do a Camp Gladiator. I could buy into a franchise. I could build my own online programming and coaching. I could, there's just so many solutions that go down this path. And if they sit there and think of themselves as an entity and the way that they make money, and they look at all of these variations, like if I was starting today as a trainer, I would go at the local gym that was the hotspot and try to get an internship or coaching program there and start to train people and make any money to get my experience up. Then I would start to offer free classes and things at parks and for companies and for schools and everything else to kind of build my experience and brand up as I grew. And then depending upon like me, I've always wanted to own my own thing. So I would go and, try to look at who the best model for a gym is that I want to train at, in which mine was always kettlebell and kind of the body weight strength and conditioning side. Who do I know that's doing that? Can I go learn from them? Can I go look at their business model? Can I go spend time with them? And most of the time they're awesome. They will let you. And so many people supported us on the way up. And can I learn from them? And then can I find a way to build that model for myself in my area with my pro forma and revenue costs and P&L and like system? And then how can I slowly scale that up over time and have quarterly, yearly goals? What am I going to do next? Where do I want to go? And it's all reverse engineered from, I want to make $150,000 a year as a coach, take home and make my own hours. And that's where I go. And if it's online or partnering with nutrition or the life coach model where I have 10 clients that are high end that pay me $2,500 a month and I order their food for them and tell them when to sleep and whatever else, however I can reverse engineer to my goals. But every trainer I've ever talked to, it's not about their goals or their systems. It's like, I want to make money, or I want to train a bunch of people, or I want to open a gym. But it's like, well, what is the actual end system that you're coming from? And that's kind of build to that.
So you said some things there that are especially important to emphasize. One, I think that trainers, it's not unique to the fitness industry. There's this belief that someone who is successful, who is doing it, won't want me to be in their space. They're not going to teach me. Like, they have their secret sauce and they're going to protect it. Why would they tell me? The opposite is true, and you nailed it. If somebody is successful and somebody is doing the job that you want to do, you're attracted to their brand, there's a reason for it, and they're the most likely person to let you come in and show you everything behind the scenes, because they want more quality like what they're putting out. They don't want you to open next door to them.
Yeah.
But they're happy to help you see what goes on.
And if they're charging you money for a course or a program or a mentorship, don't do it.
The person you're going to shadow.
The person you're going to. Yeah.
Right.
Like anyone you're going after, it happens in startups, happens everywhere. I'm an advisor. I want equity and cash and I want this, or I'm a expert. Come learn from my course, come buy my thing. And that's how they're making their money, telling you that they've done this thing. I want to learn from the person actually doing it, and never from the stars all the way down. Like, you can go take a course from Shane Farmer right now on rowing and learn how he's built his business and makes the type of money he does online. Or Kelly Starrett has been phenomenal at making money in this industry. You can pay him to go like learn his education, but he's also just a great guy that has talked on thousands of hours of podcasts and told what he's done. And he's somebody that I guarantee would reply to your email if you had questions or you're looking for help. And that level of like, these people are awesome. And they have always been supportive. Even when I was a guy running one gym, or now they want to be on our podcast, the same level of awesomeness has come from these people.
Mm-hmm. I can speak firsthand for both of those guys. Both of those guys are people I'm proud to call friends. And neither of them started off as friends of mine. It was like what you're describing. It was for Kelly, especially. Kelly paved the way for what we do at Active Life. And it was like, he was the first guy through the wall. And I told him that, and I was like, look, dude, you went through the wall and got bloody so I could go by and get nicked instead of, ripping my whole body apart trying to get through it. So 100%. And he's always open to have those conversations. Now,
the nicest guy.
Yes.
Like, it's crazy for how successful he is. There's no reason that he should be answering your questions or talking to you, but he does. Well, and I love it. And that's awesome to hear.
The flip side of that is the reason he's successful is because he does that. Right. It's you don't get successful and then say, okay, let me make time for people. You get successful because you've always made time for people. And there's a difference between going to someone like Kelly and saying, teach me how to start a ready state. And then being like, I will be here every day at 2:00 for you to put me through a lesson. He shouldn't do that. That's not what you're talking about. It's not what I'm talking about. It's come check it out. Ask any questions that you want. Want to intern? We have a guy who works at Active Life. His name is Larry. Anyone listening to this knows this. Larry met me in a coffee shop because I owned a gym in town and a clinic in town. And he's like, I want to learn how to do what you're doing. I didn't have anything I was selling at the time except treatment for patients and memberships for clients. Right. And I told him I didn't have time for an intern. I didn't know what to teach him. I didn't really even frankly know how I had done what I had done. So there was nothing for me to put him through. Mm-hmm. He came back and he was like, I will take out the trash, clean the office. Like, he basically said, I just want to be in the room and I will do all the learning. You just exist, right? Nothing added to your plate. The plan was he was going to be there 8 weeks in a row on a Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. And that was in 2016. And now he's one of the most important people in our company.
Yeah.
Right. And he doesn't need us, by the way. He was able to build a 6-figure personal training business that he frankly left to be a part of our company because he saw where we were going and wanted to be a part of it. So you're exactly right.
And it's like that way for, if you coming up when it was the time of the 4-hour work week book, which, the title and everything is obnoxious, but the core basis of it was you can do anything and there's a lot of ways to do it. And one of the things that Tim Ferriss said in that was go find the person that you're doing it and tell them you'll work for free and figure it out, or you'll do what you got to do to learn from them, or you'll spend the time doing it. And yeah, there's so much opportunity. And not only that, I think nowadays it's so much better because there are thousands of hours of podcasts of people detailing their exact business or videos, looking at them, or newsletters that have been written about them, or models that have been dissected. Even for us, we wrote 10,000 words on the personal training industry from yes, it's a year and a half old now, but it breaks down the opportunities, the things where people are making money, what's wrong. Same thing with certifications, whatever else. There's just so much opportunity. And it's the same thing in the startup landscape. I want to raise a fund or I want to raise money for my company. I'm going to cold email in a nice way and spend a lot of time on it. The top people there, and most of them will reply to me or tell me to kick rocks, but either way, it's great. And I tried it and I got out there. And I think it kind of goes back to the thing of, in our industry, I think that those are the people that should be on Mount Rushmore and should be the people we look towards, not the guy pitching you a course or a mastermind or a brain consulting thing or whatever else. That's not who we should be looking at for help. It should be these experts that are kind of top of the industry. And I still think, and anyone wants to start this, hit me up, because I think this needs to be done. There needs to be a business that brings together these experts in all of these areas and takes their courses and information and distills it down into that, along with business learnings, how to run, operate, scale, do, into a thing that trainers can go to as a hub and resource, like a Udemy or a masterclass or whatever else. It's on our goal of things to do, and we want to fund it if someone wants to do it, but that needs to be done. Because previously it would be I would drive to, Michigan to go learn from this guy, or I would go do, drive to take a weekend workshop with what Mike Berenger or his name is, those guys. That used to be it. And I feel like that's gone down because after COVID, it's kind of scaled down a little bit. So that version of it needs to be online. And I think that's a big basis for this, is get these experts, get these people that are awesome people and have good businesses, and make them the shining star of what we should build. And then also take learnings from other industries and really learn about the investing startup landscape, how to scale these products, whether you're raising money from venture capital firms or family offices or friends of yours that you want to put in, have those business models together and try to build these businesses and scale them up beyond like, I want to make money or train a lot of clients.
There's two things you said that I want to expand upon a little bit and get more of your intake or more of your take on. The first one is when you talked about, I want to make sure people are not confused if you wanted to go to a Kelly or a Shane and have them teach you how to start from the beginning to the end, I believe you should expect to pay them. If you want to be a fly on the wall, different conversation.
But they don't sell, use my system to make money. They sell, here's my education, here's my training, here's my protocol. Right. Just like I would get certified as a coach for USA weightlifting, and I'll go to 1, 2, and 3 seminars to get that. I can go learn from Kelly and Shane and other people's stuff, but neither of them will or have ever sold how to make money online as a personal trainer.
Right.
And that's what I'm saying the difference is. You can learn from their expertise, and I want to find a way to bring them all together in one source and get the top 500 versions of that into one place to learn about what they do specifically, and then also bring in business experts on top of those guys that can talk to about building your brand and marketing other stuff that have done it in other areas that can translate to fitness.
Okay. One of my core beliefs around distributing content and education, right? I mean, that's one of the things that I do it is the thing that I do all day, every day. The information is free. It should be. It always will be. The implementation is where people end up spending money. That's at least that's how I always have seen it. That's where my ethical line is, right? Where it's like, hey, here's 800 or 1,000 videos on our YouTube channel. If you go through it and you read it all and watch it all, like there's nothing that we're going to teach you that isn't already on there for free. And if you don't like YouTube, all the same stuff is on our Instagram. And if you don't like Instagram, we literally went through our course curriculums and gave them away on our podcast. And if you don't like listening to podcasts, we have an email that you can read that you can like, we couldn't make it more ubiquitously available for you. But if you say something like, hey, I want to raise our rates in the way that you described, I'm not sure what the number should be. And then how do I tell the members what the rates are going to be changing to and avoid losing all of them? And then how do I make sure to deliver on what we're promising? You need to pay for that. Mm-hmm. Do you follow me on that?
Yeah, no, I get it. And I think, I haven't dug too much into your guys' courses and content and stuff, but like, I doubt you're in a rented condo in Miami trying to sell courses on how to make money in personal training. I doubt that your trainer, high trainer academy or trainer coaching academy or, online personal training academy, whatever the millions of ads that I see out there doing, you're not doing that. And you're not charging tens of thousands of dollars to sell you through this ClickFunnels course and do that. So yes, pay for expertise and pay for areas. But like I'm saying, it's those guys in the industry that from a surface level, some people would say, well, you do the same thing as them if you're providing these services. And they're not the same. And it's a scam. Right. And that's, I think, been the basis of it all for me is the problem seeing that. And it's something that, especially early in our career, I feel like we left a lot of money on the table trying to be anti that because we were so far against it that we were like, we will never, ever be that. And luckily it's worked out. But yeah, I think that is one of the biggest negatives of the industry. And I think it's impacted everyone's opinion on it.
I couldn't agree with you more. One of the things that I've actually run into that's a problem for me that I started asking people to create content on our behalf around was when people come and are interested in working with us, we screen them. We're not trying to close everybody, right? It's like if we don't believe that you're going to A, enjoy it, B, follow through on it, C, get the results that we're making promises on, we won't sell it to you. And when I've said that to people, they're like, yeah, I've heard that from a million people before who I know just sell to everybody. So I started asking people who I told you shouldn't buy this to create selfie videos saying, I spoke to Sean. He said I shouldn't buy it. These are the reasons why you can trust him. Because you're right. It's very difficult to create any kind of a gap of daylight between what you're doing and what somebody who would take your money no matter what is doing. You also earlier talked about when you were talking about what you would do if you were going back as a trainer right now, and you touched on something, maybe realizing it or not, that I think is a huge problem. And it's everything that you described led to become an entrepreneur. Now, I'm with you. I'm an entrepreneur. I've been told by countless people I'm unhireable, right? Like people who I have a lot of respect for. They're like, you're going to make it or not on your own. You are not hireable. So, okay. All that aside, you didn't articulate a path where you work for somebody as a number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 70, and make a career of it. And I think that that's because that path is very difficult to find in this industry right now. And so I think that ownership of the fitness businesses needs to recognize that also.
I think on the small scale mom and pop, yeah, it's hard. Like the business up the street to go make a living and do it there. Some do it. I see it a lot. People that make good livings doing that, but it's definitely changing. If you are going to like Exos, one of the leaders in the space, for what they do with being a performance coach and working at their locations and being like there's just so much that can happen there. I can nowadays go work for some of these like larger gyms that actually make money and like are scaling up and have them. So you can have it. It's just my path was never that.
Have you been to Exos?
Yeah. Well, they have like a ton of locations.
Right. Have you been to one? Have you been to one of their like their flags? Their what is it in Flagstaff or in Scottsdale?
No.
Okay, I'm curious your take, right? Because I went. I did some. I was there for a few days in August of 2017. I believe it was 2017, August. I don't fully. I'm like I want to trust them. I'm asking, I'm asking you without asking you to out anything or speak negatively. I'm not looking for negative talk. I want to trust them. One of the things that I found that was interesting to me about what I believe their model is they're able to take these pieces of equipment that they put in their main locations and then effectively sell them into these corporate locations and take a vig on the equipment sale. Is that part of their business model, or am I mistaken about that?
Possibly, but that's not. They're a multi-$100-million business.
Right, I know that.
They provide the corporate programming and training and staff and management for Google.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what they do. They also train 40 of the top 150 draft picks in the NFL
every year.
So like they do so much, and that's what I mean. If you want to go work there, you can be a trainer, you can be a coach at a local place, you can work your way up and be a manager, you can run one of their facilities, you can be a performance coach, you can maybe work HQ if you've done wanting to be a trainer. Like they are a real business that does a real job.
And that's
I
Verstegen,
didn't even know
right?
about the equipment side. What's that?
That's Verstegen, right? Mark Verstegen?
Yeah. Awesome dude too. Same thing.
Yeah.
Had him talk to him randomly. He took a call with me in his awesome gym, like sitting on a RDL. It was amazing.
Yeah.
It was like, and he's such a strength coach dude, and he's so cool. And that's what I mean. Like his business is phenomenal. Go through the podcast. All of those businesses, if they're fitness and wellness related on our podcast, at least, they're hiring trainers and coaches left and right. Even if you're like the anti-world of like Tonal and whatever else, Tonal's hiring strength coaches and Peloton's hiring strength coaches. Future is hiring every strength coach, and you make a lot of money and you do well. And they have people from regular Jane up the street to the performance coach for the Lakers.
Well, there's no reason. There's no reason to be anti any of those to anybody, because it's self-limiting, right? It's like if you're angry that Future invented Future because they're consolidating a marketplace, you were never going to invent Future anyway. You might as well go work for them and make a good living. So I'm with you on that. And it's interesting that Mark Verstegen took a call with you, and we can tell stories probably all day to each other about people we've reached out to who have all the accolade, all the attention, all of the money that they need or want, who got on a call with us or sent an email back about something that you were like, I can't believe this person responded to me, but they just keep on responding to me. So to me, that's a huge take-home message for anybody listening to this is reach out to people, ask them the questions that you want to ask. They're going to give you the answers. I would love for the last thing for me to ask you to be, how does somebody reach out to somebody? Because I think that's important. When you were talking about reaching out to venture capitalists earlier, I just pictured myself trying to think about how would I do that if I wanted to do that? Do I just send an email? Hey, Mr. Money, I think I have a service that you would love to chat sometime. Here's my phone number. No, obviously not. No. But so the same thing exists in this space. You don't want to just send someone an email saying, hey, I want to learn about your business and then leave it. How does somebody reach out?
Yeah, I'd say we get thousands of emails a month about stuff, from the getting on in the newsletter podcast to us investing. And some things not to do. Don't say, hey, don't send me a 14-page email and I'm not reading it. Make it short and sweet. Say, hey, Anthony, here's my company. Here's what I'm doing in 1 to 2 sentences. Here's our deck info thing. No one's going to sign an NDA. Your thing isn't original. No one's going to don't do that. And don't ever send somebody a Calendly link and expect them to pick a time on your calendar, because that's a dick move. Ask for theirs. I'm like, hey, Anthony, here's my time. Or sorry, Anthony, here's my business. Here's my deck. Here's what I do. If there's of any interest to you, let me know. And if you have a Calendly, I'll grab a time or work with someone that you like, your assistant or whatever else, but no expectation of a response or delivery at all. I wait for your response. Like, thanks. I wait for your response. Like Joe at the end of the email pisses me off too. Cause it's like, you're expecting me to respond. No, you're putting it out there. You're trying. And most likely they're getting thousands of emails or hundreds of emails a day. And you're going to say, maybe they won't see it the first time. Maybe they won't see it the second time. Maybe they won't see it the third time. Don't send one every day, but once every 2 weeks, check in, send some stuff, ask some questions, have a very specific ask, and have a very short and sweet, but not proper either. Like, hey, Sean, I love what you're doing. I'm thinking about getting into the space. I've listened to all of your videos. I've looked at all your stuff. Is there any other courses or models I can look at? I'm not trying to buy the whole thing because I don't have the money, but I want to learn one thing from you, or here's my specific ask, or here's how should I do this, and ask a very simple question. That's how I would do it. But it's really just about being genuine and sincere about I have this thing that is needed, but you're not expecting it, and you're not asking for some secret sauce or time or doing anything. It's really just putting it out there, and hopefully it'll work out. And also trying to build a relationship with them. Like, if I were going to try to learn from you, I would pay to come to one of your courses. I would pay to come to one of your things. I would spend time out there, and then eventually kind of make my way towards the thing that I was thinking.
I appreciate that. I think people listening will appreciate it too. Anthony, is there anything that you're working on at Fitt Insider that you want people to know about? Anything that you want people reaching out to you for? Anything at all? I would love for you. You were extremely gracious with tactical and ideas on this call. If there's anything that you're doing that people could benefit from finding, I want to make sure that they can.
No, I appreciate that. And it's funny, us talking before we jumped on. Yeah, we have not really targeted the trainer and coach, even though that's who we are and that's what we love. So it's great to talk to that crowd. And I think that we have a jobs board that we're launching that's more kind of work in the field, work at these companies. It's actually out there now. It has 900 jobs a month on it, or 1,000 jobs a month. It's more tacked to work at Tonal, Peloton, work at Exos, wherever. We're trying to build up that. So if you have jobs that you're hiring for, let us know. If you're looking to break into the space in a certain way, go there. Otherwise, the newsletter podcast. My brother Joe is the host of the podcast. He crushes interviewing every founder and leader at these enterprise Strava and Whoop and Aura and all of these areas. He does a phenomenal job talking to them. And then the newsletter, it's every week we send a breakdown of what's going on and why it matters. Last week was we talked about the crazy prescription world, which a lot of your clients are probably going through, of, they're getting prescribed 10 different things from a digital doctor who barely looked at their records.
Mm-hmm.
And the week before that we talked about fitness creators, the platforms that have raised money and failed and have done good things, and the places to go, and the way that these platforms are providing services to trainers and coaches. So it's a very, very wide topic kind of set up. And yeah, that's really it. Just doing those things and trying to slowly progress. And if you do have a startup or an idea or kind of like one of these next things, hit us up, let us know. We invest in people.
Anthony, is there an archive where people can find old articles, old things that you put out?
Yeah, if you go to insider.fit.co or just Google Fitt Insider, Fit with 2 T's. We have 175 reports, newsletters. We have 500 articles. We have 130 podcasts, all there free. Just go check it out and give them a read.
Perfect. And if you could just share those links with me, I'll make sure they end up in the show notes.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
Make it easy for all you to just click them.
Yeah. And I'll send that hub and spoke thing too. It's kind of fun to look at.
I would love to look at it. Anthony, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, I appreciate the time. Thanks.
No problem. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Active Life Podcast. Remember, if you feel inspired by our vision to humanize the healthcare industry, professionalize the fitness industry, and empower individuals to live their lives, to reclaim their physical freedom, to develop careers, helping people reclaim their physical freedom, all you need to do is head to activelifeprofessional.com, find the appropriate link that represents you, and get in contact. We'll see you there.